Assalamu alaikum. Bismillah wa salatu wa salam ala Rasulillah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Amma ba'd. This is going towards, the unfortunate, ignorant, foolish, non-studying, whatever, lack of Muslims that need to, really understand something. I'm nobody. Put it that way, number one, first. So you don't have to listen to me. You don't have to take from me. That's up to you. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter. I'm just like at the hilt of being fed up and hearing and the Facebook messages and stuff that, after I read something that's good, that makes some like, what you call a good feeling come to the iman of the Muslim. It raises up the iman that the Muslims are doing something good for each other. Because none of us, I would say again, none of us are perfect. And, all of you who talk a lot of mess and speaking about, the Saudi this and the Saudi didn't do that and they helping the Americans and they helping the kuffar. You helping the kuffar. Every time you do that and you speak against your own brother, instead of making dua for him and asking Allah to change his issues or the problems that he has, and then you like the groups like the fools, the ISIS. Look at the name they have, even though it's a abbreviation of of so-called supposed to be Islamic State and all this type of things and foolishness and falsehood that they tried to put together and do themselves. They're self-made, self-proclaimed. Not even the majority of the Muslims in the world recognize them in their so-called Islamic State and caliphship, but they go on ahead killing people and putting their faces in front of the TV and making the enemies of Islam even have more reason to kill the Muslims. What foolishness are you telling me? What foolishness are you talking about? What are y'all talking about? You don't know what you're talking about. A lot of you probably even young. I wouldn't be surprised how young you are. But all those messages and comments that I saw, and as I was reading, it just annoyed me because, and I shouldn't be annoyed. And, I've been trying to be patient. I've been patient for many years, watching people with the Facebook comments against the Saudis and the Muslims that are trying to do good. Everybody got something to say, but what are you doing? What are you doing to try to change your condition first, so that Allah will change your condition, and then you can even teach others to help to change their condition, or make dua for them. If you can't change them, you don't have no power. Who are you? You're going to come, with your super cape or something and fly into these Muslim lands and try to change the people's condition? Or you going to go and try to go with ISIS, these fools, and think you're going to be able to change things? No, you're not. Allah has already ordained what He's going to be. This qadrullah wa ma shafa'ala. This is what it is. These are the times that we're getting close to the meeting of the Dajjal. Na'udhu billahi min dhalik. Min dhalik. May Allah protect us from them and from him and the likes of this. And the evils of these people that are trying to make the stage for him. Make his throne and establish his position where he can, go up there and rule for the time that he's going to rule, that Allah has allowed him to say, that it says in the hadiths and from the Prophet himself, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So who are you? What are you talking about, people? You're just putting blames, but you're not even doing nothing. And brother, I can't even remember names, but talking about, may Allah guide you people and guide all of us, but y'all make a lot of foolish remarks too. What about us black people? I mean, come on. I've been to Africa. I was in Africa. You know what I mean? I was in North Africa, but it was still Africa. And a lot of the people, how they live in Egypt, live almost similar to what's down in the West. Down South Africa, West Africa, and what have you. They're still sinful. And they might be Muslim. They still smoke cigarettes during Ramadan. They still curse. They have racism in their hearts. They practice shirk and they're praying to dead people in graves, in masjids. You understand? They're they're practicing bid'ah, and it's clear. Practicing the prophet's, celebrating the prophet's birthday, and the prophet never even celebrated his birthday. He never said and made this a legislation in the Quran, in the Sunnah, that this is to be practiced. But the people did it, and then he said, "Oh, this is a good bid'ah. This is a good bid'ah." A'udhu billah. You know, and a'udhu billah. We have to realize, we have to check ourselves. We have to check ourselves and stop checking other people. You have to look at yourself in the mirror, because you don't see the wrongs on you, or that you're busy paying attention to these people and that people and this people and that people. You know, this is what's the problem. People are not trying to check themselves, and I'm talking about for me, myself first. This is where I'm spending a lot of my time in my life, trying to do, cultivate myself, educate myself. I spent several years in Egypt trying to, learn as much as I could, and barely could, because I had to work and I had to be a father and a husband and all nine. But I did what I did, and when I got to get the chance to do so, I was serious about it. I wasn't playing no games. I may have not learned the language fully. I may have not studied with a scholar long enough, but I did take the time out when it was time to do. And I have proof from people, but I didn't blame nobody. I wasn't talking no crap. I wasn't getting even involved in the things that they were going through over there. And I was there during the Thawra, during the revolution, the first one, and when they went to try to go into the second one, and I left before they had any further implications, which eventually came later. And they removed this fool, Muhammad Mursi, with the Ikhwani Muslimin. And when you talk tough about, not even a sort of person, the Saudi helped to remove them and proclaim them, rogue or terrorist group. Yeah, they've always been like this. That's because you don't know. You're ignorant. You're not studying. You don't learn. Qutabi. You don't know what the stuff that they taught. You don't know the stuff that they taught is in line with the Qawariji? The manhaj of the Qawariji? What is it? Oh, what did they do in Egypt? Oh, they overthrew the ruler. And this man prayed in the masjid. So they went against a Sharia rule. They went against the ruling. And then the rule of Allah came upon them. And what did they have? More chaos and more chaos. Nothing changed. The ulama have advised them. We're always getting advised. But we want to be Hislam or Shizlam. Astaghfirullah. And I'm not trying to mock Islam and mock Allah at all. I'm trying to make a point. People want to practice Islam for themselves, the way they, just like the Christians want to practice their belief in God, and they only want to remember God when it's good for them, when it's a benefit for them. But when it comes to a hard time, this and that, they forget Allah. But we're supposed to remember Allah in the hard times, but we're supposed to definitely remember Him in the good times. You don't forget Allah when everything's good, But now everybody wants, but you're not doing it even correctly. You're not even worshiping Allah correctly. And as I said in my comments, there's a lot of laziness with us within this deen. I mean, come on. I see most of the masjids throughout this country in America, let alone even in the Muslim countries, packed during Jummah. But when it comes to the regular salawat during the day, it's very little people. And Fajr, very little. So we got to get ourselves together. We got to look at ourselves. Stop blaming others, blaming nations, blaming the Muslims who have been trying to do stuff. And I'm not going to say Saudi Arabia is not perfect. They're not perfect. No Muslim country is perfect, but they're the best to me, as I know, and the people who have of knowledge and the scholars that have been putting the haqq out about this deen, that they are the top of the Muslims when it comes to implementing this deen. And you talk about ISIS. What the heck? They went against the Sharia on the get-go. Because they didn't keep their treaties. That's one in the Sharia. You must keep a treaty. You can't break a treaty unless the next person breaks a treaty, then that's it. They didn't keep a treaty. They broke a treaty. They killed Salafi Muslims in Syria. They killed even other innocent Muslims. Besides the kuffars that they putting in front of the TV, so they trying to get some exposure so they can make the people feel like they are a serious jihadi group. Please, wake up, people. Wake up. May Allah help us, guide us. First and foremost, forgive us for our sins and guide us upon this path sincerely with yaqeen and ikhlas. Subhanallah. May Allah help us. Allahumma ameen. Assalamu alaikum. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.